I'll give you a really good example. I had a situation in a business where two people were coming to me complaining about the other one. And I was getting blind copied into emails that were going to and fro between these
blind
two
copy. I mean, why did Microsoft invent that? I don't know.
And it was really escalating out of control. And the thing was, that being the person, and I genuinely was in between, I could see both points of view, but I could also see that both people were being unreasonable. But I could see, where it was stemming from. So I said to them independently, I hear you. I sort of understand what you're saying, but this isn't going to be okay. This isn't going to go away on its own. This conflict is getting worse and worse. Would you, almost do me a favor? Sort of like, would you do me the honor of seeing if I can help you resolve this? And I didn't call it a conflict resolution meeting, but that's what it was. But I didn't call it that because I think that's maybe inflames the situation rather than helps it.
Yeah.
So I went to both parties and with a very similar approach to say, wouldn't it be great if we could get through this and resolve this, and so you didn't have this huge friction. And they both said, well, yeah, I suppose so. But if you're going to get me in a room with the other person and they shout at me, I'm leaving. Or if they don't let me say my bit, then I'm leaving, or it's not going to work. And I've said, no, you need to, please just trust me. I'm going to manage this really well. You're going to get your chance to speak. They will not be able to interrupt you, but I would love it if you would listen to their point of view as well. So it's really how you set it up in the first place. It's sort of it's letting them know that there's not going to, as I said before, it's not going to be a winner or a loser situation. It's just let's see what the other person's got to say, see if they can understand you, see if you can understand them, and then we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting an instant fix, but let's see, this could be the start of a different way of moving forwards, and a positive way of moving forwards. Will you give it a try? Will you do that for me? So it's sort of like, that was the approach. Anyway, so we had the meeting, and the essence of it is that you give each person actually 10 minutes to speak. They don't need 10 minutes to speak. It's really hard to speak for 10 minutes without somebody interjecting or giving you some fuel for your fire, or answering back. And the other person has to remain quiet. So you literally toss a coin for who's going to go first, and the understanding is that person A gets their 10 minutes and they run out of steam after 2. And all they're allowed to say is their point of view. So they're only allowed to use I statements. So I feel, I think, I notice, I see, I felt. No, you made me, you never, you always, those sorts of.
And if they do, is there like the referee steps in and says?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, as
okay.
facilitator, you sort of say, okay, can I just remind you we, at this stage, we just want to hear, how this situation made you feel, or the facts of the situation, what your team was going through, why this was hard for you, that sort of thing, rather than any defensiveness or accusation or attack of the other person. And the other person has the same rules. They hear you say those rules to both parties, so they know they have to abide by it as well. And the other person's not allowed to interrupt. But in the briefing part, it's important that person B, when person A is speaking, person B has to concentrate, because in a minute they're going to be asked to reflect back what they heard. So they have to really listen really actively to make sure they're really, really listening. So they can't just be sitting there thinking, well, when it's my turn, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
That's not the point. So person A speaks. They run out of steam after a couple of minutes usually. Then it goes to person B, and then you have to remind person B that they're not there to reply. They are there to say their point of view as if they had gone first.
Okay.
So do you get the subtle difference? So it's not them responding to person A, it's them saying there, and I felt, and I thought, and I saw, and I noticed, and my team's point of view is this. And then they reflect back. So then you go back to person A, they reflect back what person B said, and vice versa. And sometimes that can be enough. Just feeling like you had a chance to say your piece without being interrupted. B, you have your point of view reflected back by your enemy, as it were, in inverted commas. And sometimes that can be, oh, okay. So I'm being heard, and B, actually, I understand a little bit more about their point of view. Okay, we can move forward now. But if that's not enough, it might well be that in that session, if you have a positive enough atmosphere and response from both parties, that they can actually see a way forward. So as facilitator, it would be, okay, can you see steps that we might take to make the situation easier or resolve this situation?